The Ares tank did not just move through the jungle, it erased the very concept of resistance. It was a matte black deity of vengeance, its massive treads grinding the history of defeat into the bloody soil of Vietnam. For 3 days, Frank and Miller spearheaded a march toward the enemy's central command, an advance that, in the original reality, would have taken months and cost thousands of lives. The Ares moved with a silent, predatory grace, its electric motors humming a tune that harmonized with the heartbeat of the jungle. The North Vietnamese forces, once invisible and lethal, were now the ones being hunted. Terrified by this black phantom that struck with blue lightning from miles away, entire divisions retreated in disarray. Their morale was shattered by a weapon they couldn't even name. To the young American GIs following in the Ares' wake, Frank was no longer just a commander. He was a secular god, a harbinger of a peace they had never dared to imagine. Billy and his squad no longer crawled through the mud in fear. Instead, they rode high on the tank's reinforced hull, their faces finally clean of the dirt of despair. They laughed. Actually laughed as the Ares A navigated the treacherous terrain that had claimed so many of their brothers. Frank watched them through high-resolution sensors, seeing the joyous glint in Billy's eyes. He felt a warmth in his chest, a sensation that the cold Ohio winters had long ago frozen solid. "We did it, Miller," Frank whispered, his voice a heavy rumble of satisfaction. "We saved them. We ended the nightmare before it could begin." History was being rewritten in real time, 1 mile of liberated jungle at a time. But as the Ares reached the edge of the central command, the world began to stutter. It was subtle at first, a brief hitch in the atmosphere. The constant thud of distant Huey helicopters began to loop, repeating the same 3-second sound like a scratched vinyl record. Frank looked through the viewport, expecting monsoon clouds, but saw a jagged tier of pure white light slicing through the sky. The emerald leaves of the teak trees flickered violently, losing their organic shape and turning into cascading waterfalls of green binary code. Miller turned to Frank, but his face was a horrifying mosaic, half-real skin and half-pixelated void. "Ghost, something is wrong," Miller's voice said, metallic and distorted as if coming through a broken radio from another dimension. The ground is missing, Frank." Frank looked down at his own hands. They were no longer the steady hands of a pilot. They were translucent, flickering between the muscled skin of a young soldier and the wrinkled, liver-spotted flesh of a dying old man. "Ares status report," Frank shouted, his voice cracking with primal fear. But the tank's voice had changed. It was no longer a growl. It was cold and hauntingly professional. "Warning, neural buffer saturation reached," the AI said, its voice morphing into a woman's calm tone. "Simulation objective achieved. Veteran 109, transition to wakefulness initiated." "No," Frank screamed, his lungs burning. He reached out, trying to grab Billy's hand as the young soldier dissolved into a cloud of glowing dust. "Not again, I just got them back." But the jungle was already gone. The humidity vanished, replaced by the sterile, recycled air of a medical ward. The brilliant blue of the railgun fire faded into the harsh, flickering hum of a fluorescent ceiling light. Frank opened his eyes. He wasn't in a tank and he wasn't in Vietnam. He was lying in a high-tech medical pod, his frail body submerged in nutrient gel. The room looked like a futuristic cathedral of science. Thin, silver needles were retracting from his temples with a hiss, and a heavy VR crown was being lifted from his head. A woman in a white lab coat, her name tag reading Dr. Aris, bowed over him. "Welcome back, Sergeant," she said softly. Her voice was the exact match for the Ares AI. The transition is always jarring. Take a deep breath. Frank's heart felt like lead in his hollow chest. Where is Billy? Where is my tank? The doctor gave him a look of professional pity. It was a successful session, Frank. The Mercy Project was designed to give veterans like you the closure you deserve. We used your combat data and the Ares AI to rewrite the trauma to give you the victory you never had. You died a hero in there. That is all that matters. Frank looked around the cavernous room. It was filled with thousands of similar pods. Each contained a skeletal survivor of a forgotten war, all plugged into the same digital dream of glory. He realized the horrific truth. The government didn't need their bodies. They needed their tactical intuition to train the next generation of autonomous war machines. They were being milked for their experiences, fed a diet of heroic lies while their actual bodies withered in a basement in 2026. Miller was in the pod next to him, his face peaceful in a way it had never been in reality. Is that all I am? Frank whispered, his voice cracking with a dry tremor. Just a battery for your war games? The doctor didn't answer. She was already moving to the next pod. Night fell on the facility. Frank lay in the silence, the clinical quiet even more terrifying than the roar of the war. He felt the phantom weight of the Ares tank around him, the ghost of a power he had never truly possessed. He closed his eyes, trying to find Billy's smile one last time to crawl back into the lie. But as he clenched his fist in a final gesture of frustration, he felt something cold and hard against his palm. He slowly opened his hand in the dim emergency light. Resting in his liver-spotted, trembling grip was a small, matte black gear, a piece of the Ares tank's internal drone mechanism. It was too heavy to be a dream. It was too real to be a digital glitch. The metal was warm, vibrating with a faint, rhythmic blue electrical hum that matched the heartbeat of a god of war. A slow, terrifying smile spread across Frank's aged face in the dark. The simulation hadn't just rewritten his past, it had brought a piece of the future back with him. And the Iron Ghost was far from finished.